Reddit is considered the front page of the internet and is filled with various subreddits and threads that provide entertainment and even education to its users. Additionally, unsolved mysteries and crimes are a popular genre amongst the community. On several occasions, Reddit users have helped law enforcement solve criminal cases by hunting down unknown details, identifying persons involved, and investigating the online lives of many suspected individuals. On more than one occasion, Reddit has served as the missing piece for ongoing cases. Number 5. In 2018, a horrible hit and run occurred in Washington. 63-year-old Suzanne Rainwater was riding her bike along the side of a busy highway road when she was struck by a driver. The collision was tragic from Susan's side. She suffered various injuries and ultimately didn't survive the impact. The other driver quickly fled the scene after the crash happened, leaving behind little evidence of their identity. Susan wasn't discovered until a few hours later when someone spotted her damaged bike on the side of the road and decided to investigate further, which led to them finding Susan in a nearby ditch. Officers were called to the scene but had trouble launching an investigation due to a lack of evidence. No street cameras were in the area, and they assumed that no one witnessed the crash because no one called in. The only thing left behind by the suspect was a plastic piece that broke off of their vehicle during the collision. Officers took a photo of the evidence and posted it to Twitter, hoping online users could help them identify what kind of car it came from. Although there was no immediate response from Twitter users, someone did post the photo to Reddit in the subreddit "What is this thing?" Comments began flowing in, and one user, known as Jeff Nuts, was able to provide an exact answer. Jeff claimed that he was working on a car that had that exact same piece on it. He was able to reverse the search and find the make and model of the car responsible for leaving the evidence behind. He commented that it was a chunk of plastic that came off of a headlight bezel from a late 80s Chevrolet CK pickup. They were then able to narrow down the possibilities, and officers used nearby surveillance footage, a witness tip, and of course the Reddit information to track down the driver responsible for the incident. According to an online news source, Jeremy Simon was arrested on Tuesday as he drove his lifted 1986 Chevrolet K10 pickup truck that still bore the front corner damage from striking the woman. Usually, when cops and investigators post evidence online, it doesn't lead to much help. But in this case though, Reddit and Jeff are credited with helping solve an otherwise difficult case. Officers were grateful, and Jeff explained that he happened to stumble upon the post casually and provided his information, unaware that it would be the final necessary piece in serving justice. Number 4. In February of 1975, a body was found by a group of kids exploring the wooded area of Rocky River in Strongsville, Ohio. The nude body was later identified as a young woman aged 18 to 25 who'd been shot 5 months earlier. Despite intense testing and cross-referencing the remains with the woman reported missing, the Jane Doe remained unidentified, meaning her case would likely never be solved. The body was pushed aside and the case went cold, seemingly forgotten by law enforcement. In February of 2015, Reddit user CallMeIce came across Jane Doe's cemetery listing and decided to perform her own amateur investigation. She created a thread on Reddit documenting the case and her findings. Some calls were made by both her and other Redditors and members of the web sleuth community. They were able to obtain copies of the original case file, which included a photo of Jane Doe's skull. This was posted online and called for anyone experienced in forensic art to help out. A man from Web Sleuths, known as Carl K., used the photo of the skull to create a facial reconstruction, which finally offered an appearance for the woman. She became known as the Strongsville Skeleton. The sketch was then submitted into a database used to link unsolved cases and information such as DNA and forensic sketches. In December of 2016, a match was found on NameUs, a facial recognition database. The match turned out to be an 18-year-old missing woman named Linda Pagano, who disappeared on September 1st, 1974. The details of Linda's disappearance were mysterious, and the case details claimed that Linda had gotten into an argument with her father before leaving home to go to her mother's, allegedly traveling on foot. She never arrived and was never seen again. Oddly enough, her car also vanished despite the fact that she'd apparently traveled on foot. The car was later crushed in a junkyard a few towns away before investigators could inspect it. The medical examiner's office also spotted the match and ran a variety of tests, including locating Linda's dental records. Shortly after, officials confirmed that the Strongsville skeleton was Linda Pagano. Unfortunately, more testing and investigation has to be done before a suspect can be identified. However, the sheer fact that Jane Doe now has a name pushes the unsolved case in the right direction. If it wasn't for Call Me Ice, Carl K, and other online users, Linda's identity would have remained a mystery and a huge roadblock in the case. This is the second time that Reddit users played a role in identifying a victim in a cold case. Number 3. In December 2013, a Reddit user known as Meatheaded stumbled across the scene of a horrible hit and run. No one was seriously injured during the hit and run, but a lot of damage was done to the victim's vehicle and the road itself. The suspect was actually identified shortly after the crime based on a witness description of the man, who'd yelled at him from his vehicle while driving away. Unfortunately, the victims were unable to provide a detailed description of the vehicle or its plates. Therefore, despite knowing the appearance of the suspect, an investigation would be nearly impossible without information on the car. Reddit user Meatheaded took a photo of the only piece of evidence left behind by the suspect, a taillight that fell off the car during the impact. Over 400 comments quickly filled the post with users arguing over the origin of the taillight, but eventually it came down to a 1991 Cadillac. Meatheaded took this new information and reported it to his local police and the auto theft unit. He returned to Reddit later that day to update his followers and those that helped in the amateur investigation. He said, "I sent a link of my findings to the auto theft unit. So you guys know, on the original accident, the suspect was identified after he was seen yelling out the window that the car was stolen. But no one could ever find the car. So not only will he now go down for several traffic crimes, but it looks like he'll go down for auto theft as well, assuming the damage matches." So an otherwise impossible crime was quickly solved thanks to the help and dedication of online users. While this case doesn't involve a tragic loss, it did help a reckless driver with no concern for others get off the streets, making the world a slightly better place, at least hopefully. Number 2. In April of 2015, North Charleston police officer Michael Slager pulled over a black male named William Scott. Scott was driving with a broken taillight, which caused the traffic stop. Slager approached Scott's vehicle and then walked back to his patrol car before Scott exited his vehicle and fled the scene. Slager chased him into an empty lot behind an auto parts store. The two engaged in a physical altercation, and at some point Slager used his taser, but Scott was already running about 15 to 20 feet ahead of him. Slager then pulled out his gun and fired 8 shots, 5 of which hit Scott. Slager then radioed dispatch and said, "Shots fired and the suspect is down. He grabbed my taser." That statement would later be revealed as a lie. An eyewitness recorded video of the incident on his cell phone. The video would later be released to news platforms and would even play a role in the conviction of Slager. The witness reported that he never saw Scott reach for Slager's taser. In fact, he reported that Scott was only running from the officer to avoid the sting of the taser, which Slager was using himself. The video originally provided to media was in a low-quality state and was very shaky. Although some things were clear in the video, the overall order of events was questionable. Unknown to many, a Canadian Redditor named Daniel Voshart actually took the video from Reddit and made it easier to watch by stabilizing the video and improving the quality. The new and improved video also provided new information. Slager was seen in the video yelling at Scott, who'd fallen to the ground, to put his hands behind his back. Slager forced Scott's arms, cuffed him, and left him lying on the ground despite his severe injuries. Slager had originally reported that he performed CPR on the victim, which was later revealed to be untrue. Perhaps the most important detail that was exposed in the new video was that Slager tampered with the evidence at his own crime scene. In the video, Slager runs back to the area in which the pair originally fought and picks up something off the ground, carried it over to Scott and laid it beside his body. Eventually, investigators came to understand that the item was his taser. It's important to note that Slager's original report varied greatly from the truth. The officer was later convicted and sentenced to 20 years in prison, and this conviction likely wouldn't have been possible without the help of a talented Reddit user who helped clear up the video footage. Number 1. In April 2014, an elderly woman named May Goldberg walked out of her apartment building in Upper West Side, New York. Unfortunately, May suffered from dementia and likely got lost in the city after leaving. Her son, named Josh Goldberg, began to panic when he discovered his mother had wandered off. For anyone in the world, this fear is unimaginable, but in a huge city like New York, the fear runs even deeper. After filing a missing persons report and conducting a small search of the town, Josh grew more concerned with each passing hour, and the chances of finding his mother were slowly slipping away. Eventually, Josh had the idea to take his search to the internet. He made a public post on Reddit which revealed personal information and provided photos of his 59-year-old mother. In the post, Josh begs the community to keep an eye out for his mother in the surrounding areas. One Redditor saw the post on the same night that it was published, and later that evening he just so happened to stumble across May Goldberg wandering the sidewalks of a busy street. He immediately recognized her from the photos Josh posted. He carefully helped the woman, and they reported to the police station, where Josh was contacted to pick up his mother. The user even went as far as replying to the main post to inform others and the original uploader about where his mother was now located. Josh was extremely grateful to the Reddit community that he was reunited with his mother, and without the help of vigilant Redditors, the outcome of this situation could have been much more upsetting. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to click that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell to keep updated with our videos.